Just where you kind of feel like you've grown since last year?
I would say confidence. I'll start off being a DB. I've gained a lot of confidence from last year. I know after the LSU game when I first got back, I was like kind of shaky or whatever getting out there after the hamstring injury, but I just been working this past off season and all summer on DB, trying to get better at that, and also as punt return.
Right.
Dee, what's the key to being a good punt returner? What's the part of it?
Really just locking in on your keys every day and just going out there focusing on the small things first. That's all that matters. It can get scary back there sometimes, but it's just all like having confidence in yourself and like depending on your teammates to protect you whenever you get to the ball. So.
Obviously, you were electric as a punt returner last year. How do you get better at that in practice? You guys, I don't know how much full speed you guys go. It seems like such a natural skill, sort of in the moment play. You have to feel for where guys are and how to elude them. How do you get better at that part of your game?
It's really just all about awareness and locating the ball. Sometimes you'll get in certain positions to where like you're in between taking that chance of running with the ball or fair catching it. So I just go back there and like just take a deep breath and just do my job and try not to panic in certain positions.
What have the coaches told you about being a safe punt returner, just make sure you get the catch, fair catch, whatever, versus using you as a weapon? How conservative do you have to be of whether or not you're going to fair catch it or take off?
It's just all about the distance, the down and distance, and how far the return the punt team is away from me. I'll say like 5 to 10 yards is my decision to make. So I just have to be a leader and do my part on that. So.
In the back.
I guess going off that, being conservative, was that a skill you had to kind of teach yourself when you first got thrust into the role? Like, I don't always have to make a play. I sometimes need to make the play that's best for the team. Was that something you needed to learn when you first started punt return?
I started punt return when I was at the JUCO, my past school. So it was I was always like taught to not be the hero of like trying to make a play every time. So, and like once I got here, it just clicked. I realized like you want to be able to put the offense in better position. So you don't always have to be the hero. Or the chances that you do have, like you should take advantage of them.
Right.
How much are you working at kickoff return, and how different is that skill set to being a punt returner?
I just started working kickoff return a couple weeks ago, and it's a lot different than punt return. I think it's like you have 11 guys obviously coming at you full speed, so like you really just depending on their front line to protect you if you're coming out with the ball or not. And as punt return wise, it's only you back there, so you just have to be like precise with your decision. So.
When you scored against Vanderbilt last season, I think you fooled some people with your celebration. Have you given it any more time or thought or work into what you might break out if you score again?
Yeah, I have some work coming up. I can't. I'll get to that once that happens this year. So.
Anything else from Dee? All right, thanks, Dee. Appreciate it.
In Australia, in front of big crowds, and he doesn't think that playing in the SEC is going to be that big of an adjustment for you. What are some of the bigger crowds you've played in front of? What's the atmosphere like over there? For those of us that know that.
Yeah, Australia gets some big crowds. I mean, our grand final, which is like your Super Bowl, gets about 100,000. But I've played in some like smaller, sort of 20,000 stuff. So I mean, X probably selling a bit short, but this will be crazy playing in Neyland for the first time. Actually being out there on the field and doing my thing will be awesome, and I can't wait. And I'm going to soak up the atmosphere when I get out there.
Going off of that, Coach also said that you could be the best athlete on the team, had a lot of high praise for you. To hear that, what does that mean to you? And how much more comfortable do you feel going into this season than when you came here last, just with this system and also, I guess, just life in America in general?
Yeah, I'm really confident now going into this season. I think being here last season, just sort of taking a back seat was huge for me to learn about the game, understand sort of punt. And it's been great transitioning into this season, being the number one punter and focusing the scheme on myself and being able to adapt to all that and feel rushes at practice and stuff like that. So I think it's put me in great stead heading into the year.
Coach Eckler also said you had one of the best arms on the team behind Joe Nico and Coach Heupel. Do you believe that's the case?
Somewhat. I think I'm better than Coach Heupel at his age now. I'm still in my prime, I think. Probably don't have the distance Joe does, but yeah, I'll back myself with that in that game.
Ryan?
Are you in position to be the holder for kicks? And if you are, have you had any prior experience doing that before getting to Tennessee? And just how's that transition going?
Yeah, I've been holding a lot through spring and fall camp. Back in Australia, obviously, I've never played American football, so I've never held a ball until I went to pro kick. They incorporate punting, field goal kickers and holding, because when you get here and you need to be ready to hold, because, I mean, usually it's the punter's job. Sometimes some teams have quarterbacks, obviously, but I think I've improved that hugely. Kicking with holding for Charles and just doing reps is all you can do really with that. And he knows how I'm going to hold the ball and I know how he wants me to hold the ball. So I think we've got a great bond now with snappers and all that, and the more reps, as I said, the better I become.
Right.
Jackson, you mentioned pro kick. Just how did that even get on your radar? What was the recruiting process like? And how did you even become interested in American football and think this is something you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I played Australian football for pretty much my whole life growing up, and once I got cut from the system over there, I kind of was looking at options, whether I keep trying to get back into the AFL system. And I had a few friends from high school, Tory Taylor, who's at Iowa, probably, one of the best players coming out of this draft as a punter. And he said, I've got the quality of my leg to at least try coming over. It's an awesome pathway for kids in Australia to do something, get an education over here and that. So he put me onto them. I went down and practiced with them a few times, and they said they'd be happy to take me on. And obviously landing at Tennessee is such a, when I first joined Pro Kick, I wouldn't have thought I'd be at Tennessee in the SEC. So I'm very grateful for that, and definitely to Coach Eckler for giving me the chance to be here, and I can't wait to put everything Pro Kick's taught me and put it into practice here.
Knowing the ball, and how much of that goes into being a good punter for you, and how much of an adjustment was it moving from Australian rules to American football with the ball?
Yeah, the balls vary from, at Pro Kick we'd use like some big puffy balls and some small ones to get used to it, because you don't know where you're going to go, and some teams use Wilson, some teams use like small Nike ones. So the balls here we've got are pretty good, but the Australian ball is a lot bigger and a lot more of a sweet spot. So definitely is an adjustment. There's more margin for error with the ball that we got now. So got to be pretty precise in where you place it on your foot. Otherwise, it can be kind of disastrous. But we'll be good.
Patrick, Keelan, and then Adam.
Jackson, when we talked to you in spring, you were, I think, about to go back to Australia, go home for a little while. What was that like? Did you get some of maybe the rejuvenation that you need to go back home?
Yeah, that was awesome. I was here for, 6 months, and then could go back home. And obviously, it was pretty much summer here. It was winter over there, so lots of morning walks, lots of coffees at my favourite shops with Mum and my friends. But yeah, that was I was only there for 2 weeks, but I did everything I needed to there. Saw my friends. But obviously keep in touch with them. They were sending me Snapchats this morning because it was Saturday night there. So just talking to them and keeping in touch is the way that keeps me afloat. But going home was awesome, and my parents and 2 sisters are coming over in about a month's time to watch 3 games. They get to come to Tuscaloosa and stuff like that. So it's going to be pretty eye-opening for them, and I can't wait for them to be here and watch me do my thing.
Caleb?
What's been the biggest focus for you this fall camp and off-season that you wanted to grow on?
Pretty much just basically punting and holding, just feeling rushes. I guess in Australian football, you're sort of 360 view, because people can come tackle you from anywhere, but just sort of getting used to the rush and understanding how much time I've got, all that thing, and just being consistent with it. So yeah, but I think I'm ready to go now, and I can't wait to be out there in 2 weeks in Nashville.
Now that you've been around Coach Eckler and other coaches on the staff, how do these American coaches compare to Australian coaches? Are they exactly the same, different?
It's kind of different here. In Australia, you kind of learn your stuff throughout the week, but on game day there's not much coaching. It's sort of you making the decisions, like you're not looking at calls and everything like that. So it's you just play off instinct in Australia. So here it's a bit more structured. You're getting told what to do a lot more. Me and Coach Eck have a great relationship, and I hope it gets to the stage where we can sort of like negotiate what we're going to do, what I like and what he thinks. So that's going to be cool out there. But I've adjusted well, I think, and I love the coaches here. So.
Cool. Anything else for Jackson? All right, thanks, Jackson.
Thank you.
We'll start with you.
Last time we talked to you in the spring, you kind of mentioned kicking in Neyland Stadium. Just since then, in scrimmages, orange and white game, how's that experience been like?
You know, I love kicking in Neyland. It's a great place to kick. It's super fun. You know, you go in there and you get to look around at the big old stadium, and so it's super fun. I like it. You know, the uprights are the same distance they are on Neyland as on the practice field, so it's about the same. But I mean, I really enjoy it. It's been nice to get in there a few times, understand where the wind flows, and I guess how to play the ball in there. So it's been fun.
Go in the back.
In your experience, is there any difference in preparation for different playing surfaces going from natural to artificial? Is there anything that you can do to prepare for that? And is there anything that you need to change in your own preparation?
Yeah, I mean, the only really big difference, like if some grass is a little longer, a little thicker, you have to hit the ball a little bit more clean, because if you hit the ground and, you know, there's some taller grass, your foot might get caught up in it. But, you know, really there really isn't that much of a difference if you strike the ball clean, correct. And so, you know, we have turf in the indoor and I guess grass out in the practice field. So you get both surfaces. It's good to practice on both.
Patrick and then Adam.
Charles, you're coming back to your home state school. Your first game is going to be a little bit closer to your hometown, or are you going to have a lot of family and friends in Nashville in a couple weeks?
Oh yeah, I'm going to definitely have a lot of people coming. I think there's going to be a good bit of people coming. I've had a lot of people tell me that they're coming, and you know, I'm just super excited. You know, Nashville's only 2 hours away from home, and so it's kind of like a homecoming for me. I'm super pumped up for it.
You've made numerous kicks over 50 yards. I'm curious to know, like, what your game day prep is in terms of, like, how you communicate to Coach Eckler or Coach Heupel what my range is on a given day, and how do you determine that?
Yeah, so basically when you go out on the field, you got to read the wind. That's one of the main things you have to do to determine your range. I mean, if the wind's in your face, you're obviously not going to hit the ball as far. If the wind's at your back, you'll hit it further. And so going both directions on a field, there might be different, I guess, yard lines you have to get to in order to, like, feel confident in the kick. And so you also have to take in to consideration, like, the temperature outside. If it's warm, the ball's going to fly a little better than if it's cold. And so, you know, you really get a good feel for it when you go out on the field, especially when you've been kicking for a while. You know, you just go out there. It's kind of a feeling, kind of an instinct, but you can go back, I mean, in games or I guess in pregame and kind of test yourself out, see what your range is.
But are you giving a number in pregame, and does that number maybe change in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. So, I mean, in pregame, I'll give a number, and if conditions change, such as wind, you know, I might go up to Coach Hype and change it a little bit, but really it stays about the same. Hopefully, you know, you're playing in some big stadiums, and so especially like in Neyland, the wind doesn't really change all that much just because the stadium is so big.
Coming down south a little bit, does fall camp get a little bit easier not having to kick as hard a ball this time of year? Is that something that has gotten a little bit easier this time around than previous years for you?
You know, the weather change has been nice. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a little nicer outside, a little warmer, but really in the summer in Bloomington where I was at, it doesn't really get super cold now. I'm curious to see, like, later on in the season, it does get a little chilly, or it did in Bloomington. So here it might be a little warmer, so it could be easier. But right now it's about the same. I will say it has been hot outside, so I've been dealing with some heat.
Sam?
You talked about the homecoming for Nissan Stadium. Just to be here, what does it mean to you and to your family to be playing for Tennessee?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a ton of pride in being here. You know, I grew up wanting to, I guess, go here. My sister just enrolled here a few days ago. I have a little brother who's going to be a sophomore here, and my mom went to college here. So it's like, you know, I get to represent my family. And just for me, I had a ton of friends in high school go here. you know, I just couldn't be more honored to represent my home state and really finish out my career here. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity.
Patrick?
Are you gonna be handling kickoffs, or is that competition still kind of in
The
there?
competition is still in the air, yes.
Who else is?
I mean, it's me, Josh Tuberville, Max Gilbert, JT Carver. It's all four of us are really kicking the ball well.
Anything else for Charles? All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you, guys.